How's it going, everybody? Look, I hope you're all having a wonderful day. It's Rev here, obviously, and today I want to give you my top strategies, new strategies, profitable strategies for marketing on Facebook in 2020. Now, one of the biggest things I think we found with 2019 is a lot of algorithm changes. I don't know about yourself, depending on where you're at in terms of being beginner, intermediate, or advanced with Facebook marketing, but there were so many changes in 2019, and so we're constantly, it was fun for me, but I think for the vast majority of business owners and marketers especially, it was quite challenging to try and stay on top and ahead of the curve, essentially, to stay profitable and still have Facebook ads that work. So today, again, as I mentioned, I'm going to give you my best strategies, most profitable strategies that have worked through 2019, and then I think more than anything are going to be some of the best performing strategies for 2020. So let's get into it. Okay, here we go. Marketing strategies for 2020. So right off the bat, some of the things I'm going to show you, well, all the things I'm going to show you today are just little tweaks. I've made a couple of videos there in the past, and let me know if you need them, because I will personally shoot you the links of these videos. But I have made quite a few videos that show you the format of setting up an ad from start to finish, and that hasn't changed. What I'm going to show you is a couple of the little optimization, the little tweaks, the little tips that might seem like a bit of a secret to a lot of you out there, but being on the platform every day after day is where I tend to find these things. So a quick overview of this, if you haven't seen this before, this is where you choose your objective. Really quick, brand awareness, I don't use that much. Reach, I usually use for retargeting. Traffic is to simply send someone to the website. Engagement is if you want a bunch of likes and comments and shares on your ad itself. App installs, I don't use that often. Video views, obviously video views. Lead generation is getting people to fill out and give you their information whilst on Facebook. You would have seen those lead forms before. Messages, I use heaps. Obviously, that's to get initiate an initial conversation with a prospective customer or client, especially if you're service-based. Conversions one, we use a stack. That's more so e-commerce. And that might look more along the lines of if you're trying to get people to purchase from the website or add a product to your online cart. Or you can use it for lead generation and service-based businesses, whereby you send someone to your landing page or website, they fill in their details, fill out an inquiry, and that in turn equals a conversion. So what I might use for this demonstration is messages. That's what I'm using predominantly a lot of. If you're in e-commerce, you can watch another video, ask me for the link of that video, and that's going to show you more so things along the lines of conversions. But this is still going to be very relevant to either local service-based businesses trying to generate leads, or I should say e-commerce businesses selling things online. So click messages. The first optimization, I don't know whether you guys are using it, is to use campaign budget optimization. Now, the way things are going with the algorithm on Facebook these days, especially, is Facebook are wanting us to use the algorithm more and more and more, and basically have less human input. I don't see that as a bad thing. Meaning that, if you use a campaign budget optimization, also referred to as a CBO, it just means that your budget is getting spent on the audience and the ad within that audience automatically that is performing the best. That's all that really means. And so if let's say that you don't have a huge budget, I guess that's more subjective as a subject, but if you don't have a huge budget, then this is a really good option for you. And so, if you're trying to test 5 audiences at once and 5 different ads within all of those 5 audiences, and we say leave it on $25 a day, what's going to happen, just to give you a visual, is Facebook's going to take that 25, test a bunch of those audiences, test a bunch of all those ads, and then decide based off the feedback and the amount of messages that you get with specificity to this objective, it's going to decide where to continue to distribute that $25 a day to. End of story. Okay? Campaign budget optimization. I would definitely use that as a starting point. You've got this other one here that's called create a split test. I don't use that very often unless I have proven offers, if let's say I have proven campaigns, and then I want to get a more specific understanding about perhaps which audience is working better, especially when you find a winning one by using campaign budget optimization. So onwards and upwards, we're going to click continue, and moving right along. I think what you will find, what I did see as an update, is a bit more of a detailed perspective here. But if you are using a lot of lookalike audiences these days, what I think is going to be rolled out soon is when you create these lookalikes, see how it says AU, obviously that's Australia, that's our country code. But what's going to happen is that's going to disappear, and you're going to create lookalikes that aren't specific to any country until you actually select it here. So that's just a heads up. I think that update's coming in the next few months, but it's not going to mean much. It's actually going to streamline and, you know, save us all a bit of time. Fantastic for once, right? So let's say we create, you know, a very simple campaign here. So I'm going to use a lookalike of everyone who's watched 95% of any of my top of funnel videos for FBC, Facebook Consulting, for the past 365 days. It's going to be everyone in Australia, 18 to 65, blah, 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 blah. Tip number 2, if you already have, let's say you already know a top performing audience and you just want to sort of make a good campaign great, one of the things you might want to look at trying is layering interests on top of lookalikes. Now that kind of goes against what I think Facebook are teaching, but let me explain what essentially happens. Let's say I use this lookalike audience and then I want to say, okay, well, let's further refine this audience. Everyone who is in that lookalike audience of people who've watched my top of funnel videos have to also be interested in marketing. That's going to make the target audience go from 170,000 down to 120,000. So I may have just further narrowed my audience down nice and nichey. That's not a real word. But what this is doing is just, it's kind of segmenting different segments of this lookalike audience and giving me just a different target audience to muck around with in general. One of the things out there, especially if you guys have been following me for a while, I am massive on just testing for the sake of testing. It doesn't have to make sense, really. I mean, at the end of the day, it could be, and this would, I would actually probably test this, but you know, people who are interested in pregnancy, if I could actually spell as an interest, see how that drops it right off? That kind of tells you that my lookalike is on point already because I've lost 120,000 odd people. But you know, out of that 170,000 size audience, which is the lookalike audience, only 56 are also interested in pregnancy. That would just be something I would test. By all means, use something that obviously makes more sense for you. You know, selecting interests that are more correlated to the business that you run, whether it be e-commerce or local service-based business. But that's tip number 2, which is to layer, just test it at the end of the day. If it doesn't work, at least you know it doesn't work. And if you know, tick that box, which I'm all about ticking boxes, but layer an interest with a lookalike audience and see what happens. Have a lot of fun with it too. Tip number 3, I'm just going to get rid of all the lookalike here for a second. Tip number 3 would be to muck around with this little tick box here, which is called expand your detailed targeting to reach more people and it's likely to improve performance. So let's say this is a huge audience, like 7.6 million people aged 18 to 65, men and women all around Australia, interested in marketing. It's 7.6 million people. Let's say that I wanted to say, hey, Facebook, look, if you happen to find someone that is going to deliver me more messages, which is still relevant to my business, but is interested in something other than marketing, please find them for me. That's why you click that box. And now we just boost up to 17 million people, which I wouldn't even look at that, because essentially what you're saying to Facebook is, hey, you tell me what interests people are interested in. That sort of leads towards me getting more messages, generating more leads, making more online sales, and go from there. That's what that is. This is, again, just us being told by Facebook to rely more and more on the algorithm, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, you've got, just to put things into perspective, you've got a Facebook algorithm which knows something like 400,000 different data points about us as individuals, as opposed to just your brain. Even yours and my brain put together, which is 2 brains and a lot of experience between us, I'm sure, is 9 times out of 10 still not going to outperform a lot of the artificial intelligence that's arising as a marketing tool within Facebook. So that's tip number 3, is to use this expand interests option. Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'll just keep that on for the sake of this one. Leave everything on automatic placements. I know some of you out there like to go edit placements and you only use Facebook newsfeed and Instagram newsfeed, and while it sounds great, at the end of the day, again, AI, artificial intelligence, let the algorithm decide where it's going to get you the most messages. And if one day it happens to be too saturated and too competitive in the Facebook newsfeed, then Facebook is automatically, the algorithm is going to look automatically for the best place to actually put your ads. So you leave it on automatic placements. The only exception to this rule, in my opinion, is if you are running Instagram stories, which is this one here. If you have an Instagram story ad, which is a 9:16 image or video, then you would deselect everything other than Instagram stories. It's the only reason you would dive into here. And I'm very, very confident in saying that automatic placements is something you definitely want to be using. So tip number 4, there it is. Moving right along.
That's about it really, when I move forward. Now we go into the ad creation process. I've got 1,000,001 video, well, not 1,000,001 videos, maybe 4 videos on how to create these particular ads from start to finish. There's a whole bunch of different formats in here. You can use carousels, you can use videos, you can use images. If you run a service-based business, I'm a massive fan of you using a video, especially to introduce yourself, and that's called a story video. I also have another instruction video to show you how to shoot these story videos as well. Let me know if you want it. I'll shoot it off to you. But everything here in terms of formatting and tips especially remains the same. So there's another video on this to show you how to set this up properly. I'm not going to go over it again here today because I want to really just keep it nice and specific as to the tips I'm giving you with us, which are small, like seemingly minor tips, but they have a huge impact on how well your campaign goes or doesn't go well into the future. Okay. Now, let's say that I push this ad through, right? This is tip number 5 incoming here. Let's say I go confirm, my ad gets approved, and we're up and running, whoop-de-day, like happy days. One of the things that I'm not seeing a lot of people do is test different bid amounts. This is tip number 5. This is the final tip, by the way, and that is to test different bidding amounts. And how you would do that is you would go back into the campaign, and just here, you're going to see campaign bid strategy. Lowest cost is the default setting for this setting essentially, and that's Facebook. That's you going to Facebook. Hey, look, Facebook, here's my $25. I just want you to find all the messages that I can get for the lowest cost possible. Does not mean you're going to get any messages. Let's say that we are, competitors, or not even competitors. Let's just say we're trying to get in front of the same audience, but we're not even in a competing service or product line. Okay. If I come in and I go, okay, Facebook, I have a bid cap. I'm only going to run my ads to people who are, interested in marketing, and I'm prepared to spend $100 per message, but I'm only spending $25 a day. Let me show you what that looks like. This is the other setting of a campaign bid strategy. If I go continue here for a second, scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see now I've got this thing called bid control. Now, if I go 100, it's telling Facebook, hey, look, I'm only spending $25 a day, but over the next, 3 or 4 days, I'm prepared to spend $100 with you to get one message. If you're on the other side of this auction, you're a competitor, sort of, and you're on lowest cost, guess whose ads is going to get shown first? Mine is, because I'm prepared to spend more. Facebook's basically giving me the green light, the thumbs up to go, hey, look, Rev, we're going to look after you because you're prepared to spend more. That's pretty much how it works, because again, the whole Facebook algorithm and being shown in the newsfeed is a auction, and that's how you win that auction. So let me give you a scenario where you might use that. Let's say that you run the ad, just run an ad in general for 3 to 4 days, and then you find for whatever reason after 1 or 2 days, which is pretty common, believe it or not, you don't get any messages, you don't get any sales, or you just don't generate any leads. I would look first and foremost at your at the auction competition, which I can show you in yet another video. I'm sharing so many links with you guys these days, but I do have another video to show you how to look for whether you're getting bullied out of this auction, and it's just black and white. It's a number in front of you to say it's been X amount more competitive this day, and you would go back through and you would increase your bid amount, I would say by at least 5, which really just covers all the bases and ensures that your ad is still being shown first, you're more competitive in that auction, and obviously so you can generate more leads or online sales, whichever the case may be. Okay, so this is literally it. These are your 5 tips that I've given you today. At the end of the day, I think it's a really good idea. We're getting into the middle of 2020. We're getting into the brunt of 2020. Everyone's jumping on the ad platform. Everyone's feeling fresh. Everyone's feeling, motivated to achieve some massive business goals these days, which is fantastic. But that also means that it's going to be quite competitive and quite saturated on the Facebook ad platforms. So what I would like to offer you, if you'd like to have a free chat with myself, I'd be happy to talk to you about the business and what strategies on Facebook I think might be more specific for you and obviously more profitable for you. So let me know if you'd like to take advantage of one of those calls. It's going to be open for the next 2 weeks up until, well, the next 2 weeks for now. I can't even think about what date I've actually cancelled it on. And I'll talk to you all then, okay? I hope this has been helpful. Let me know, and I'll talk to you soon. See you later.